Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm still playing Alexander the Great. Well, and it's looking harder and harder for Alexander. It's gonna be really hard to win the conflict, to conquer Persia. I don't really see that coming anymore. The last video Alexander really got kind of lost here in this area here in Comagene, in Cappadocia. And, well, he started to behave kind of erratic. He moved down here trying to hunt Darius' army, then deciding to besiege Damascus, after realizing that it will not work out to attack the Persian mainland, basically. So he's in a lot of trouble right now. His warriorness is at 13. That means if it goes up one more step, we have to check if his army will fall apart, or if there will be a mutiny. The injury level is also at 13 yet, so yeah, it's definitely going to be hard for him. So right now he's besieging Damascus, but he only managed to do one siege point to the city. So if the Persians should be able, and I don't see how Alexander can prevent that from happening, if they should be able to cut him off from supply, then Alexander can no longer maintain that siege, and well, he has to come up with some other idea then. So we'll see about all this. In addition, we got the trouble here with these Spartan army over here, which is not so easy to destroy. And of course it's the Persians now. And well, let's see first if we have some interesting card here. Well, we could play again the tactical advantage. That would allow them to double the battle rating. Well, sadly they don't have a real good leader. They all have only a battle rating of 1 after Memnon died in battle, which was their best leader. But I guess that's a card that you want to play right before a battle. So we might actually say, okay, we simply throw away a card. Let me see. One of these two, I think I want to throw away. I can only play them if Alexander is Great King, but I don't see that coming. He has to conquer all these areas. So, well, I think I simply want to. Hard to tell. Let's throw away that one, and then we can draw a new one, and another Persian tactical advantage. Okay then. And yes, I guess what I want to do is, with the Persians, I want to leave a garrison here, and then I'm going to move one space here, and that now cuts off the line of communications, which went like this, and then here over sea. Because Rhodes is under Persian control too, there is no line of communications in that way possible. So yeah, that line is cut now, and that means that the siege can no longer be maintained. Now we could move on a few spaces, I guess. Okay, actually I placed 3 garrison units in Aleppo and 3 over here in Faliga. The reason for that is because Alexander has only 23 units in his army, and you need an 8-to-1 ratio to do an overrun. I can prevent an overrun in this way. 3 is, by the way, the maximum number of garrison units I can leave in a standard space. In a city I can leave up to 10 garrison units. So well, hard to tell what to do now. Alexander is definitely in trouble. Well, the Macedonians played the Greek fleet. That gave them, well, control over the Greek fleet, the Greek fleet, which is placed here in Athens. It's not a very strong one, only a strength of 1. And I'm afraid that Alexander has to move back now. He cannot besiege Damascus. So he might actually have to move back and really fight Darius. The reason is that Darius could now simply move over here to Pallas. The way seems kind of open. I mean, there is this very small army here, but that has only 7 units and no elite level. Of course, we could use also the army of Craterus. Well, maybe that is indeed an option. Moving there with Craterus. But that would not bring the injury level of Alexander higher. I think that could be a good idea. Well, it's still 35 units. And that's a problem because Craterus is not a good leader. His elite level is only 3 of his troops. Alexander is clearly the better choice here. So I'm not sure if I want to take that risk. It's hard to tell. On the other hand, I can gain control over Cilicia. If I move this guy, I can remove that garrison here. And I'm going to check the tables for that. Well, I think we got to realize that it is not possible for Alexander to do everything on his own. He cannot be everywhere at the same time. He's got to move down to Egypt anyway. He wants to take Damascus. So I think it is a good strategy to take that risk. And it is a risky situation. But to move Craterus, attack the larger army there of Darius, thereby conquering Cilicia, and then maybe in a later turn also trying to get Aleppo back, so that we are again in supply. Yeah, I think I want to do that. So let's see, 1, that is an overrun, so that is gone. Issus is now part of, or Cilicia, the whole province, is now controlled by the Macedonians because of this garrison in Zoli. 2 and 3. I mean, I could at that point risk, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could risk that. I think I want to actually risk to do this. The question is just, am I still in line of communications? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, no problems here. So, okay, I want to move here. 1, 2. Then I move down here. 3, 4, 5. And I got to roll. That's a 6. That sucks. So that means the treasure of the Macedonians is depleted now, because I kind of overstretch my army's movement ability here. So I gotta fight now these 3 guys. That should not be such a big deal. The problem is it brings the war weariness even further, but then if I win that battle up here, I got again a line of communications, and I can do another siege attempt on Damascus. Oops. Now that is a 2. That's not a good start here. Oh shit. That's just a 3. But it still should be good enough. So we have a 3. We can add 4, which brings us to a 7. And that's obviously a very bad roll. We got an 18 here, so that is a 5. We can really be happy that that was not the battle against Darius' army. The defender rolled a 7. They cannot add anything, and they are here, so that is only a 2. So it's clear, overwhelming victory. No doubt here. And I want to check if the war weariness also goes down, if they have to fight only garrisons, or if it has to have a minimum, if the enemy army needs a minimum strength or something like that. Okay, that's the elite level. The elite level goes up. Wait a minute. Okay, here the force has to be more than half the army's ASPs. That was not the case. Okay, for each land battle involving a Macedonian army outside Europe against a Persian army of 10 or more. So that was not a problem here. Anyway, we got a roll for battle losses. That is a 4. But we can subtract, we got an overwhelming force, so we can subtract 2. We can subtract 2 more, so it's below 1, and that means that there is no losses here. Okay, now we can actually move on and I will leave a garrison in Aleppo. And we're gonna fight the Persian army. The Persian player, he's gonna play a few cards now. Actually, he's got a ton of cards here. I think, although I'm not sure, that this can only be played once, the terrain advantage. Or the tactical advantage. And we're going to play also the terrain advantage. Now that means that we can add 1 for Darius, and the other guy has to subtract 1 for the battle roll. Okay. So we start with the attacker, who can... I thought I had another card. No. Okay. So he can add 4 to the die roll, but he has to subtract 1. So it's only a 3. That's not great. It's a 10. Still pretty good though. With 18 units. So that is an 8. A battle rating of 8. Well, we'll see. Darius can add 2. Well, let's see what we get. Okay, that's interesting. That is a 9. And we have 35 units, so I'm afraid I will win that battle. Yeah, that's a 9. So I actually win that battle by 1 point. Which is really painful for the Persian player. So that means the Persians have to, the Macedonian player, they have to retreat now. Oh shit, wow, that sucks. That is a 6. Okay, that means, wow, 1, 2, I don't know, I think I have to go as far as possible, and if it makes sense, I think I cannot just move in circles or something. So if I want something to secure this area, I have to move back here 3, 4, 5, 6. So I end up here in Physalis. And that is going to be a very expensive battle for the Persians. So first they get a battle fatigue marker for the Macedonians. Then they have to add 5 to the battle die roll, and now I realize I'm not even sure if they were in line of communications. 1, no, they were not, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then yeah, that's okay. They could just do it. Okay, so they were in line of communications at the beginning of the battle, but yeah, they have to add 5, and that's pretty much it. Okay, that's a 7. That's horrible. So they will lose 5 units. Okay, And in addition, they will lose one elite status here. Now the Persians, they can subtract 1 from the die roll. I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, that's also not great. That's a 5. And by the way, because this guy has a 1 leading, he can actually move here, I guess. So yeah, that's true. He can subtract 1 from his retreat roll, so they only had to add 4. That brings it then only to 6. So that, yeah, they only lose 4 points that way. I forgot that leader bonus. So they are still at 14 here. Now he actually lost 4 from 35. That means he also loses 5 units. And also gains a battle fatigue marker. Over there. So both armies took heavy losses here. But the army weariness goes up. But here's the interesting part now. Alexander might be now in control or in line of communications, because we have 1, 2, 3. This is a neutral area because of this garrison here, so they can trace a path through that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not enough, is it? No, they cannot get 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10. They cannot get to a friendly harbor. From there on, they could add a naval line of communications back to Pallas, but because they cannot get to a friendly harbor, and down here it's not possible because Rhodes is controlled by the Persians. So they have to go here to the north coast of Asia Minor or so, but that is simply a little too far. You can go straight up here, but there is Darius sitting here in Malatia. So Alexander is still out of LOC at that point. Very bad situation for him. On the other hand, Darius is now very vulnerable with his battle fatigue, so maybe if Alexander is lucky, he could then in the next turn try an attack on Darius. So we'll see about that. And it's the Persians. So the Persians were lucky. And well, what do they want to do? The Persians actually want to do an admin phase. They are in a position where they can easily wait. There is no reason for them to hurry somehow. So they're going to remove the battle marker here, or the battle fatigue marker. That one goes also away. We can try to replenish some treasuries here. At the moment, the Macedonians don't control Epirus anymore because of this crappy Spartan army here. So they can only add 1 to the die roll, which is not good enough. They needed a 6 to replenish that treasure. No, that's not true. They have Illyria and Macedonia, so it was just good enough. The Persians, they want to replenish the Median treasure here, and they wanted to add 1, 2, let me see. Well, that is no longer a friendly province because of that garrison here in Nineveh. Well, we could say 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I want to actually take all 5 provinces just to make it more or less sure. So as long as I don't roll a 1. Yeah, okay. So that treasure is now back to depleted. And now we come actually to the interesting point. And we can now do a war weariness check. So that means we roll a die and add the die roll to the actual war weariness. If we reach 20, then there will be a mutiny in the army of Alexander. First of all, that means that 5 units of Alexander's army will be gone. Second of all, the war weariness will go down 5 spaces. The problem is, after that, the Persian player can make a die roll. If that die roll is below, I think it's below, not equal, but if it is below the number of treasure cities he controls, the Persian player actually wins the game. At the moment we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 treasure cities. So as long as we would roll a 1 to 5, the game would be won by the Persians. But first we have to roll if we see that mutiny. So if Alexander now rolls a 6, he is in deep, deep trouble. That's not the case, it is only a 2. We have to do this check every admin phase from now on, as long as a mutiny is possible. So the more treasure cities are under the Persian control, the more likely it is now that Alexander will lose the game pretty much very, very soon. Okay, well, Alexander has to attack Darius now. He has to do some serious damage. So he will move north again. And because he is out of LOC, he cannot exceed his basic movement allowance, which is 4. So you can just get there. 1. Then he moves here, 2. That removes this garrison. And then he can actually move here. 4. So 2, 3, 4. And I wonder if Darius wants to retreat. I think not. Alexander is at a... He started out of LOC, so he has to subtract 1 and... Well, I mean, I think we just have to try it. We have to push the war weariness even further. So, let's see for the attack of Alexander here. Roll 2 dice. He can add, I think, 8, if I'm not mistaken, because of this lack of LOC. Yeah, that's a -1. So he can add 8. Okay, that's very, very powerful. That is the maximum possible result. He has 23. So that's a 15. And the Persians have to be cautious not to lose that battle in a complete disaster. So let's see what the Darius rolls. He can add 1, basically. That's all he has. And that is pretty bad. That's only a 6 with 30 troops. And that is indeed a complete disaster. That is only a 6. And that means that Darius has to flee. And that solves now a lot of problems for Alexander, because now Alexander captures the royal treasury, which brings him now basically always in supply. That was very, very painful. So first of all, now Darius will retreat with his army. Let's see how far he has to go. Okay, that's a 3 minus 1, that's a 2. That isn't so terribly bad. He could move down here to Marde. Okay. And then we roll for losses. And we have to, well, we actually have to only add 1, I guess. Okay, that was very lucky. So Alexander won't lose too many units. He actually loses only 2 units, or Darius loses only 2 units, but he lost that treasure, and that, of course, is a problem. Okay, and of course the army is also battle fatigue. Now, we come to an interesting point. And I'm not sure how that works. The rules are very vague here when it comes how Alexander can use this royal treasure. I mean, he can use it, that's for sure, but can he replenish it easily? I really don't know. Maybe I'll take a closer look. I would suggest no, but, well, I don't know. Maybe he can. I have no idea, actually. But first we got to roll for the losses on Alexander's side. That is a 3, minus 2. So also only a 1. That's not... So he takes a single battle point as a loss. No big problems here. So at least some kind of a success, but we'll see how expensive it's gonna be. First of all, again the war readiness goes up. Now we already have a 2/3 chance that the army will revolt. Second of all, we see about the injury. That is not too bad, it's just 1 additional injury point here. Okay. Now let's see who goes next. Oh, wait a second. I have to check something. It's about Darius. We've seen that he will flee. And there's a special rule and a table for that too. He might actually be killed in that battle because he lost that so badly. So if we roll an 11 or higher, Darius is dead. And that's not the case. We have a 9. Okay, the Persian places Darius in any province that is exactly 4 MPs away. If there is none to which Darius could trace an LOC, treat it as an 11 plus die roll. Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess we can place it somewhere in Mesopotamia. Yeah. It's also not quite clear. Maybe it says it has to be exactly 4 spaces away, but that seems kind of strange. It's not written that way. I mean, I guess if one of the spaces of the province is 4 spaces away, then it's good enough. So I don't know, it's not clear. I'm gonna leave him there. I think that's fine. Okay, then we draw another one, and that is again the Macedonians. And that's interesting. I mean, they could now, there are two options. They could continue fighting, trying to kick Darius' butt. And that's a good chance. I mean, they will definitely do a lot of damage if they should do that. The problem is, in the next turn, it will be either an admin phase or a Persian phase. That's for sure. And the Persians then could announce an admin phase. The Macedonian army war weariness would then be at 16, and that means there's a 50% chance, basically, that the Persians would win the game. So at that specific point, actually, Alexander wants to avoid combat. So he has to try to make now, as soon as possible, as many treasure cities as he can to make that final weariness roll for the Persians as hard as possible, I guess. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to move now down from Malatia. I don't have that line of communications problems with the army of Alexander anymore because of that treasure. So I can move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Now I have another problem, and that is because the treasure allows me not to move further than, and by the way, I will remove this. No, that's my own. The treasure doesn't allow me to move further than 4 spaces. So I don't have, or 4 movement points. So I don't have a movement point left to demand the surrender of that crappy city once again. So I have to hope for a good assault roll here. And, well, we'll see. That wasn't too great. I can add 1 because of Diades, and I can add another one because of my ASB. So I'm at 5. That means it's only a single point. Again, a poor result for Alexander, and that means now deep trouble for him. We will see an admin phase, that much is sure. Actually, it is the admin phase itself. So that means the Persian player will announce an admin phase at that point. So first he can try to replenish his treasuries, and he will start with, well, maybe with, it's hard to tell. He could also try to replenish the one in Susiana. No, I think I want that one here. Maybe that one? I think I tried this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the best chance there. So I can fill that completely. Yep, that was a success. So that treasury is filled again. Now the Macedonians can try to fill that here. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. And that is again not good enough. Okay, again, we have to make that war weariness check. And now it is at 15, so that means on a 5 to 6, Alexander is in deep trouble. Oh, wow, okay, he's still fine. Okay. Let's see, it's gonna be Darius next. And yeah, it is gonna be Darius. It is not allowed that there will be another Macedonian phase. Let's see what we get. First we can choose a card here. Okay, at that point, I think I want to try to attack Alexander again. I just want to drag him out and bring his war weariness level up. Wait a minute, I think by now it should be at... I think that is kind of odd. I think it should be at 6 by now. Yeah, after the last battle, it should be at 6 by now, I guess. No, wait a minute. That doesn't make a lot of sense. No, it's fine. Yeah, it's... Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna take this army. And I'm going to move down here. I got to roll and add 1 to the roll. That's fine. So no penalty here. And I'm going to attack Alexander here at Damascus. Of course, there is basically no chance. I just do this to bring the war weariness up here. So Darius rolls first. He can add 1 to the die roll. Okay, that is a 7, which is pretty lousy. He ends up with 28. That's just a 7. Alexander he can add 9 to the die roll. Oh wow, that sucked too. But it's still good enough. So that is a... that's a 12. With 22 guys, so that's an 11. Okay, well, Darius can be happy it wasn't a disaster. So we roll now for losses. Darius only has to retreat 1 space. So overall, until now, oh, whoops. That wasn't too bad for him. No, that sucked. Okay, he will lose tons of units here. Yeah, he loses 8 units. That was bad. That was the important roll, and he completely screwed that. Alexander can subtract 1, basically. Yeah, that's it. Oops. Shit. Okay, so he was lucky. He only loses a single unit here. But again, his war weariness goes up. And we got to roll on his injury table, which is completely shit. It's an 11, so he acquires 2 more injuries. And now we also come to the point where it's getting really tough for him. Oh man. Okay, now Alexander can try to take Damascus. So he rolls the die and, well, he needs 2 points, so he needs a high roll, right? That should be good enough. That is actually a 7, and even more, I guess. So I guess that will be 2 points. Yeah, definitely. Let's see how much it are exactly. So we can add 1, so it's a 7, plus 1 for this guy, so it's an 8. That means it would be 3 and 1. So that means actually that he loses 1, but he takes Damascus. That means all these garrisons are gone. And he now controls Damascus. The bad thing is that actually brings the war weariness up 1 more space. The good thing is, if there is a revolt right now, he only loses the game on a, I think on a 4 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still, yeah, it's 5. Exactly, the Persians control 5 cities. So if we see a revolt, which we pretty much likely could see, then he has at least a little chance to survive that. So let's see who goes next. It's the Macedonians at that point. That is good for them. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, here's the thing. The guy could try to move into Memphis, basically in a single move. First we can try to play a card. And we don't have a good one here. What is that? Yeah, that can be only played by the Persian player, so I guess I'm going to simply discard that one and draw another one. Okay, shuffle all discards into the deck. Must be played when drawn, the Fortunes of War. So I got to do that right now. Okay, so if Alexander wants to avoid or if he wants to at least keep a chance to win that, he has to try to take as much of these treasure cities as soon as possible. So what he's going to do is he's going to leave 3 ASP from his army back here in Damascus, and he also will leave the treasury, the royal treasury back here. Why? Well, because if he doesn't, it will slow him down. He could only move 4 spaces, but now he can actually move 6 spaces, so he can move now 1, 2, 3. Wait a second. Wait a second. It's not that simple. Shit. Now things become really interesting, because there is here the fleet of Tyre. Tyre is still under control, or the province of Phoenicia is still under control of the Persians. That means also the fleet of Tyre is under control of the Persians. And if Alexander wants to sail from Gaza to Pelusium, there is a risk of an interception here, a naval interception, and that fleet would be then completely unprotected. That naval transport. So that would mean that Alexander has to move through the desert. And then he cannot make it to Alexandria or to Memphis during that movement action. Now that could be actually, that's insane. That could be critical for the outcome of the game. The fact that the Persians control this fleet here. I really would not have expected that. Let me see how the odds are. I mean, I really want that city. So, and I could try to make it surrender. Let's see what the odds are that the city would surrender if I could get there. Let me see. Here we go. So we could add the battle rating. That would be 4. 5 for the higher ASPs, +1, it's a positive defensive rating because it's so badly defended. So we could actually add a 6, and therefore it would be a sure surrender. I mean, we would simply gain control over that city if we could reach it. That again would increase our chances of surviving a mutiny. Because then the Persians would only control 4 cities, so they would only win on a 1-3, which is definitely less likely than a 1-4. So that is now really a hard call. Should we risk that interception? We will see. I mean, if it's an automatic interception, it's a bad idea, obviously. But let's see first what the odds are here. We have naval movement, naval interception. Within 2 naval MPs, that's the case here. Okay, yeah, it's automatic. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we can't do it, because if it would be a successful interception, then everyone would be killed, Alexander will die, the game is over. So we cannot run there, and that is just crazy, right? I mean, the fact that this fleet is here might now make Alexander lose that game. What about moving here? Well, we have here in Babylon, we have a pretty big army there, so a surrender is kind of unlikely there. Okay, so I could only move, if I would move 6 spaces, I could go Megiddo, Jerusalem, Gaza, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, desert takes it 2 spaces, and then I could even not move on here to Pelusium, because I had to wait at Gaza basically, because otherwise I would be kind of stuck on that transit point, which is not allowed. Could I then reach Memphis in the next turn? That would be 2, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it takes me 2 turns to go to Memphis. Damn it. And of course, then I take a risk that Darius might take Damascus back. Holy shit. But you know what? I don't know what else to do. I mean, I really don't. I have to take these cities, and my only chance is to take Memphis and then run back, and maybe Damascus holds that long. I don't know what else to do. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to move down here 1, 2, 3 spaces, stop at Gaza, and yeah, okay, whatever. It sucks, but just another problem. Would I be still in line of supply if I end up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, I would. So that would be okay. If it is allowed to trace line of supply through desert lanes, well, let's check that. Or line of communications. All the little questions here. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Now look at that. Moving through the desert does only cost you 1 movement point. Now, okay, that changes things completely. Well, I was lucky that I checked that. Only on line of communications it costs you 2. But moving through the desert only costs you 1. Okay, now that means I can actually reach Memphis. Ah, fuck. But I still don't have enough movement points because it will cost me 1 to demand surrender. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, I can't get there anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can only get to Heliopolis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I could get there, but because of the fleet, it's not possible. Well, anyway, I'm going to move here to Heliopolis. And there's nothing else I can do at this point. So there is a chance. I mean, maybe it's the Macedonians in the next turn. We will see. And then Alexander is happy. Let's see what it is. Fuck, it's the Persians. Okay. Well, it's obvious what the Persians do. They will announce an administration phase here. And that allows them to remove their battle fatigue. In addition, they can try to replenish, for example, this treasure here. That would be a 1, 2, 3 spaces. That's not good enough. What about that one? Well, basically they can add only 1, so only on a 6. Nope. And this one here. Nope, also not good enough. And then, well, we'll see. Will there be a revolt? Chances are pretty high. On a 1 to 3, there will be a revolt. No, that's bullshit. Actually, on a 3 to 6, there will be a revolt. 1 or 2, Alexander is good. Oh, wow, look at that. He's fine. He still is fine. Okay, so it's looking a little better for him now, but still, I mean, it's going to be a constant struggle now for him against that threat. Okay, I think I want to load this up now. It's a really, really intense game now, because now there is still a chance that Alexander can win that. He will take now Memphis in the next turn if it's not the Persians again. And if it is the Persians again, well, there can now be 2 admin phases in a row. But then they of course have a chance to take back Damascus, which is, well, obviously then not a good situation for the for Alexander, because then Darius could recapture the treasure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, okay. Still, if Alexander, let's say he's next, if he takes that city, if he takes Memphis, which is then a sure thing, then the Persians only control 4 cities. That means there is only a 50-50 chance that if there is a mutiny, Alexander will lose the game. So the thing is, if he then survives that mutiny, the warriorness will be reduced by 5 points. So then he has bought himself some time. On the other hand, of course, there is his injury track, so it's going to be a very, very hard time for him, no matter how he's doing. But I think we're seeing a really, really exciting game now, and I hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.